Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, folks. So I got a little bit of news from a couple articles basically saying that the production for Rust is shut down at least until the investigations are complete. The production is pursuing their own internal review and investigation of safety protocols. But it's what film crew members say the Alec Baldwin prop gun shooting fits a pattern of safety shortfalls they've yet to work against. That's the article I'm going to focus on. This is from Brianna Sachs at BuzzFeed News. So, yeah, let's get into it. And believe me, folks, this is pretty shocking stuff. Producers on the set of Rust in New Mexico, where Alec Baldwin accidentally shot and killed Helena Hutchins, the director of photography, cut significant corners when it came to safety protocols and working conditions, of course, or according to those who were involved and familiar with the project. Now, I did report in my other videos yesterday that corners did seem to be cut, but this is going to be giving a more detailed video into how the corners were cut. Interviews with 10 production workers, documents, and emails obtained by BuzzFeed now show that those in charge of producing the Western-staffed key roles with less experienced non-union workers and rushed the sourcing of props such as guns to save money at the expense of safe and humane working conditions. At least 2 property masters who are in charge of acquiring, validating, choreographing, and overseeing all of the props and department staff in a production, including weapons and those in charge of them, said that they turned down the opportunity to work on Rust because of their concerns over how rushed the project was. And they considered what they considered to be lowball pay and how flippant the producers seemed, flippant is a direct quote, about protocols. In 2019, a prop maker and licensed pyrotechnician with the Local 44 union filed a formal complaint against David Halls, the assistant director of Rust, who handed Baldwin the loaded gun for violating safety protocols, specifically related to firearms on set. Crew members also walked off one of his more recent projects after he had them shoot guerrilla style on guerrilla is the Guerrilla, not gorilla as in the animal. Guerrilla style on the tracks in the middle of the night. There have been a host of other missteps that workers say exemplify the systemic issues that have plagued production and jeopardized their safety. Workers in the industry say a culture of ignoring basic standards, outsourcing to less experienced workers, and paying unlivable wages to churn out content more quickly and cheaply is a big part of why Hutchins, a revered and admired cinematographer who was the film's director of photography, is now dead. Oh, you know what that sounds to me like? It sounds to me like in Hollywood's bid to go more woke and hire people based on skin color and not merit and skill is what's leading to such problems like this. Could it be that the main problems of why low safety standards and stuff could be because these people are not qualified to work on sets like this? But, because of their skin color, gender, sexual orientation, they are now allowed, screw their qualifications, to work on them. Folks, this was reported back earlier this year where where Hollywood is now changing the way how they make movies by saying that they need to be more diverse behind the camera and in front of the camera. And now look where that might be leading. Lax safety protocols. But anyway, let's continue. It's literally a war zone on some of these films, and no one takes responsibility. No one acknowledges that this culture of sucking it up and dealing with it is a problem. Maggie Gold, a prop maker and licensed pyrotechnician, told BuzzFeed News. The lack of accountability is astronomical. It's endemic. That's a direct quote. Santa Fe Sheriff detectives said the shooting took place and the cast and crew were rehearsing with the equipment, which was set up by one of the film's production assistants and the armorer. You know, that crazy armor that if you look on Twitter, you can actually see videos of stuff she kind of does. She looks like a psychopath, green hair and dancing like she's a freaking slut and all that shit. The assistant director picked up one of the prop guns that was sitting on a car outside, yelled, "Cold gun," meaning that the weapon was safe to use, and handed it to Baldwin without knowing it contained live rounds. Are you... So this guy picked it up and handed it to Baldwin. He didn't check it. So David Halls is also very much responsible for the death of Helena Hutchins, in my opinion. For months, production workers from across the industry and part of the union International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, IATSE, have been threatening to strike, citing exhausting, stressful conditions that were exacerbated by the pandemic. Rust was no different, they say. Crews on the low-budget Old West period film were working 14 to 18-hour days, staying in a dilapidated hotel an hour away from the set, and making well below standard rates, while at one point waiting 3 weeks to get paid. According to two people familiar with the situation and reporting by other media outlets, Los Angeles Times reported that the camera operators also made a complaint about the lack of gun safety and protocol on set last weekend after 2 other accidental prop gun discharges. Yeah, they reported that Baldwin's stunt double was handed a gun by Halls and said, or after he said, "Cold gun," and live rounds were fired. The situation was so egregious that in protest, members of Hutchins' camera crew walked off the set over the working conditions, a rare move that industry veterans told BuzzFeed was a huge red flag that should have immediately halted production. A handful of members of the camera crew quit the production on Wednesday night, a spokesperson for Rust Movie Productions. The camera crew is not involved with props or prop safety protocols and have no interaction with the firearms used in production. If there is a firearm being used on the set at all, in front of the camera, everyone on the set is involved. That's just fact. The culture of Hollywood, you endure and protect your team, especially those who brought you into the gig, industry veterans said. It has to be incredibly dire, they added, for unionized operators to choose to abandon the job and leave their director. Soon after the shooting, Rust Movie Productions said in a statement that it's conducting an internal review of the incident and cooperating with Santa Fe authorities. The safety of our cast and crew is the top priority of Rust Productions and everyone associated with the company. Apparently not. Though we were not made aware of any official complaints concerning the weapon or prop safety on set. That's bullshit. We will be conducting an internal review of our procedures while production is shut down. So yes, again, the movie is shut down indefinitely until the investigation is complete. Warnings about the production arose in September when Neil Zoromsky, a veteran property master, told one of the producers that he had concerns about how and where they were sourcing props and personnel for the film. On September 20th, Rao Walters, a unit production manager, reached out to Zoromsky asking if he would be interested in joining the Tier 1A feature. That classification means it's a low-budget production, shooting in Santa Fe starting October 6th. According to emails obtained by BuzzFeed News, but the low rates, slim staffing, and rushed timeline were red flags, said Zoromsky, who has been in the industry since 1989, a 25-year veteran union member, and has worked on everything from Seventh Heaven to The Day After Tomorrow. They didn't seem to be playing it right from the beginning, he said. it felt slipshod. And the vibe was that it was a very unsafe situation. I told them as much, he said. Based on the conversation with Walters and production designer, the prop master realized that they were behind the 8 ball and trying to prepare the project or a project days before it was about to start. Unfortunately, that has become the trend in Hollywood, he said, to try to throw a production together in 8 to 10 days when the bare minimum should be 3 weeks. They were flippant with the details about the weapons that were to be provided and shrugged off his questions about who was going to be on staff, Zaromsky added. He also said they insisted that they had everything they needed locally, and that's a great concern. As the demand for content was has exploded and more companies are jumping into the streaming frenzy, studios have been creating projects in places outside Los Angeles like New Mexico, which union workers say is cheaper. Often, as union workers who have worked on New Mexico productions told BuzzFeed, that means production companies can hire less experienced people to fill key roles, such as Rust's 24-year-old armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Smith, for less money. In a podcast last month, Gutierrez Reed, who has responded to BuzzFeed's request for, or has not responded to BuzzFeed's request for comment, talked about being the new role, or being new to the role after just coming off her first film, The Old Way. The Daily Beast reported that filming on the set was allegedly briefly paused because concerns over how she was handling the weapons. I covered that in my last video about how she was inexperienced, and yeah. In his discussion with Rust producers last month, Zaromsky said he inquired about the armorer, since it's usually the prop master's job to hire that role, as well as weapons, or as the weapons. According to emails and call sheet obtained by BuzzFeed, the prop master had 2 assistants, one of whom was also the armorer. Okay, so I may have been wrong in a previous video where I called her the prop master. It was concerning, he said, that the film chose to combine those 2 roles into one. Or maybe not. It compressed that person's ability to check the functioning guns, test them, and prepare them for use. The call sheet also showed that most of the crew members were non-union, meaning that they were likely paid below the standard wage. Zaromsky and other industry experts also balked at the findings from a Santa Fe sheriff's search warrant, which stated that Halls, the assistant director, picked up a revolver from a cart and handed the weapon to Baldwin. That goes against guidelines from the Actors Equity Association, which state that all loading of firearms must be done by the property master, armorer, or experienced person working under their direct supervision. Yeah. It's absolutely beyond the pale that an AD would ever touch or grab a weapon off a prop cart and give it directly to an actor or rehearse or otherwise, the prop master said. And this goes on and on, folks. Halls could not be reached for comment. Sunday has worked on a slew of films and shows, including blockbusters like The Matrix, in various assistant directors' roles since the 90s, based on his IMDb or DB profile. And according to the Directors Guild of America, he recently completed a safety training course mandatory for membership eligibility. And then he goes and slacks on these, or on this project and other projects? Holy shit. But according to 2 people who worked with him on various past shows, he has a history of disregarding basic safety protocols and measures such as not checking weapons, not holding safety meetings, and inappropriately addressing women. Yeah. Back in February, crew members also walked out walked off the Georgia set of another low-budget production where Halls worked as assistant director. One Way, the movie was called, because of what they said were unsafe working conditions and lack of pay. Angela Schroeder, as set director, told BuzzFeed News that the final straw was the last night when Halls decided to do a spontaneous shoot at an active train yard because the production company had not properly secured any locations. The assistant director had all of the crew working within 30 feet of at least 8 dark train tracks in the middle of the night without spotters, she said, adding that nobody knew what they were doing. Halls later posted a photo on Facebook of them moving a fake body as a train whizzed by, calling it a martini shot for the last day. This dude sounds like sounds like he should be arrested and not allowed anywhere near a film set. The worst part, Schroeder said, was that it was around the anniversary of the death of Sarah Jones, a camera assistant who was fatally struck by a train on another Georgia movie set in 2014. Gohl, the pyrotechnician with the local 44 union, had a similar experience with the assistant director in 2019 while working on Into the Dark, an anthology series, the show which streamed on Hulu and made by Blumhouse Productions, which notoriously set the standard for making blockbuster content for little money. Yikes. Was also low budget with conditions and culture similar to Rust's, she said. She ended up submitting a complaint to the DGA. Wow. Usually when there are dangerous elements in a production, such as gunfire, stunts, and pyrotechnics, leaders on set host a meeting every morning to go over the props used and the risks, as well as ensure there are known fire lanes and usable exits in case something goes wrong. On Into the Dark and One Way, those meetings, as well as other basic safety protocols, were not happening, and crew members complained. Gohl and other staff said it was inexcusable that we had to basically demand those universal common policies every single day. She said it is like that on many shows now because it's this culture of shut up, do the job, stop whining, and get it done. Seconds are money, and the faster they can rush through things, that saves money. But we are asking ourselves now, what is that cost? And it's our lives, livelihood, and general well-being. Gohl said Halls often complained about and was exasperated by safety steps of Into the Dark, like having a gun cleared by a professional technician. And contrary to protocol, Halls would not inform workers when there was a weapon present or distinguish between a real gun and a prop, until the assistant prop master demanded that Halls inform the crew every time. Holy crap. A representative for Blumhouse Productions did not immediately respond to a request for comment. We were being dismissed to our faces even though so many people knew it was wrong, she said. It's frustrating because so often this falls on deaf ears and people have been afraid to speak up because when you do, you are not there in the days to follow. Basically, if you speak up on safety violations, they fire you. That, at least, has changed. Production workers have been speaking out about what they've endured on job en masse, filling social media accounts with stories and organizing rallies. There is a new sweeping solidarity, Gohl said, because they are no longer accepting what is at stake, their lives. We no longer want to be treated as expendable. So yeah, folks, I know this is a longer video, but I needed to cover all of this because it is very important to show just how lax Hollywood has truly become. This is horrifying to hear and read, even. And yes, this is my first time reading it. It is horrifying that this is what it's come to. Hollywood has become so lax with their safety protocols that people are walking off sets because they are concerned for their lives. And you know what? I'm very happy that there is that level of common sense. And this guy, Halls, he should be locked up. I mean, holy crap. This dude sounds like a psychopath. Anyway, folks, that's going to be the video. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think of all this stuff that you have heard on this video today? I mean, seriously, this is some crazy shit. Anyway, that's going to be the video. This has been Orange Hat Reviews, folks. Stay humble. Yikes.